Hello and welcome back to the channel of four-wheeled nonsense. If you're anything like me, then firstly, apologies. And secondly, you probably have a brain full of these best lists, these rankings. I said rankings, I love a good rank me, it helps me relax, of the best things in life in each category. For example, the best steak I've ever had, Tokyo. Best pizza, Kyoto. Best real-time strategy game from the 1990s, Total Annihilation. And the 3 best fast Audis, which is pertinent for this video. My 3 favourite best fast Audis I've ever driven are, in first place, the V8 R8 with a manual gearbox. I love one of those. Hopefully in a few years I will own one. Secondly, the B7 RS4, again, same 4.2 V8 with the manual gearbox. And now, shock news, unexpected from me of all people, the new RS7 Performance. In this video, we're going to find out just why this has blown my mind in a way I never thought a fast Audi ever would again, frankly. So let's get cracking and find out why you need to find some pennies down the back of the sofa and then have a good rank with it. That'd be coppery, wouldn't it? Let's get the least surprising bit out of the way first. It's not a cheap car. It's about £121,000 basic. This one's only got 3 options, pleasingly. First of which is £9,200 of ceramic brakes, which are bigger than the wheels on most cars I've owned. And that comes with an extra £500 mandatory option to increase the speed limiter to 189 miles an hour. Very useful in Britain, I'm sure you will agree. And then there's £1,300 of the Dynamic Pro Plus suspension, which we'll get onto in the driving bit, making this £136,000. It's free paint though, it's quite nice, isn't it? This is about 4 grand more than the very similar RS6 Avant. I've reviewed that somewhere. I think the very second video I ever did on this channel was the RS6, and they got performanced back in 2022, I think it was. So this is the RS7 you would get if you went to a showroom today and bought one. It is the only one you can buy. This is in a carbon black trim, so it's got some matte black trimmings in carbon. So I say matte black? I meant matte carbon trimmings down here on the front bumper, here, the mirror caps and round the back, as we'll see in a minute. And I think it looks pretty special, to be honest. I've always had a soft spot for the RS7. It's not a saloon, it's a hatchback. It's a very hot hatchback. Yeah, that's the heart of the RS7 Performance. It's the very familiar 4-litre Volkswagen Group V8, I think developed by Porsche. I think Porsche does the V8s, Audi develops the V6s for the group, or it might be the other way around. But anyway, this is up 30 horsepower now, so 630 horsepower, 850 newton meters of torque, which is 50 more than before. It's got a mild hybrid system, if you care about things like that, for the stop-startiness and to put less strain on the drivetrain and stop-start traffic, all that good stuff. Now, this has got a locking centre differential. It's also got Audi Sport Quattro differential on the back axle, and it can send up to 85% of the power to the back wheels or 70% to the front if you need it. So it's permanently 4-wheel drive, and it's just very clever about how it distributes it. What else is there to say? I've been getting 25, 26 mpg. You can get 30 on a cruise, which is just phenomenal, because this will do 0 to 62 in 3.4 seconds. I reckon it's actually a bit faster. And as I've said, 189 mile an hour top speed. There's a cyclist who's laughing at the man talking to an engine, but that's fine, it's what I do. Hello. There are 2 other reasonably big changes under the bonnet as well, under the car really. First up is the 8-speed torque converter auto now has even faster shifts in the dynamic driving modes and in the RS mode, so it should feel snappier than the old one did. And also they've removed some of the sound insulation between the engine and the cabin, so you hear more V8 noise when you're driving. And trust me, this car is properly bipolar. It can be very hushed with the windows up, double glazed loveliness, or you can have them down and just, listen to the thunder, which we'll do in a bit. Are you ready for some big numbers that would make Colin Chapman off of Lotus cry? Well, this isn't a Lotus because it's heavy and people will actually buy these. But yeah, 22-inch rims are standard. They are technically lightweight versions. If you bought one of these as standard from the showroom with no options whatsoever, you would get big steel brakes on it. That £9,300 carbon ceramic option gives you what I think is some of the biggest carbon ceramics you can get on any kind of sensible-ish car. 440 mil. That's 17 and a bit inches, which is ridiculous. They don't just look cool though, they save 34 kilos of unsprung mass, which should really help the ride. And we'll get to the suspension in a minute because it's quite trick. The coefficient of drag is 0.32. It weighs just over 2 tons, which actually I don't think is that bad for a car of this size. And it's got a whopping, I think it's 67 litre fuel tank, which it will get through reasonably quickly, depending on how you drive. But yeah, I like the shape. It is a bit bar of soapy. I just met a gentleman who said, ugh, that looks like one of those electric Mercedes cars, which is the biggest insult you can give anyone. I asked him what he drove though, and he said a Discovery Sport, so yeah, take from that what you will. Right, I'm getting a wet and muddy arse to tell you about the suspension on this car, because if you buy one of these as standard, it comes on air springs. Air suspension for me works well in something that's luxury and cruisy, but it falls apart when you drive them quickly. So the £1,300, I can't remember what it's called, RS Suspension Plus, I think, option, removes the air suspension and replaces it with electrically damped steel springs. Now they're hydraulically interlinked. I don't fully understand it, but the idea being that it can more stiffenly damp the car in fast corners and give you a better connection to the road. And for me, that's the biggest upgrade on this car, is the way it feels when you attack corners. It is leagues better than a normal RS7 or RS6 ones I've driven in the past. And I think it's all down to that £1,300 option. So if you're going to drive this car quickly, get that suspension system. Oh, it's got rear wheel steering as well, standard. Now that suspension guff is all well and good, and I know I said electrically damped, I meant electrically adjustable damping, don't comment about that. One thing I love about this car is you can use it as a family wagon with real ease. Sure, it's not going to be as practical as the RS6 Estate, but you've still got more than 520 litres of boot space, more than 1,200 I think it is when you flick the rear seats down. It is cavernous still, you just don't have the verticality of the load bay at the rear of the car because this slopes down. Now I do have a whinge about this car, I've got a couple of whinges about this car. It is not perfect because it doesn't have a rear bloody window wiper, which is quite annoying when it's raining. But to be fair, the shape fit does mean that when you're doing 155 miles an hour around the M25, that clears nice and quickly. I didn't do that. Matte carbon around here as well, big oval exhausts. They are still loud. They still pop and bang in RS mode with the valves open. I don't know how Audi's got away with it because it's properly antisocial. I like my wet bum. Boy, does Audi do good cabins. Yeah, this is very similar to the normal A7's cabin, but that's not really a bad thing. Real personal highlights for me are the very thin, note that BMW, very thin Alcantara covered steering wheel with a little RS badge on it as well. You've got digital dashboard, as you would hope when you're spending 130 grand. This one, because it's the carbon black pack, gets this blue twill in the carbon fibre on the doors, which matches the Navara blue, I think is the paint on the outside. Same, you've got blue stitching on the seats. That's an option with the RS logos stitched in there. I like Audi's infotainment system. It's got wireless CarPlay. It is good. What isn't so good though is there's no wireless charger in here, which is really mean. I guess this is quite an old platform now, but yeah, there's no wireless charging, only for the key down there. There's a couple of USB-Cs in there. So I got in this car the other day with a flat phone, didn't have a cable, couldn't charge my phone. Little bit annoying. Oh, almost as annoying as the way I said little there, but yeah. You got Bang & Olufsen sound system as standard. It's pretty good. It's not massively impressive. It's just fine. It's clear. It can be bassy enough. You get head-up display as standard, you get a 360-degree camera as standard. You don't, though, get adaptive cruise, which is really mean. Audi, come on. You get that as standard on an entry-level 28 grand Volkswagen Golf, but you don't get it on this. That's part of a £2,000 pack called the Tour Pack, and that includes lane departure warning. Yeah, that is a lovely cabin. It makes you feel really isolated from the outside world when you get in here, and it's also comfortable. It could be a proper Grand Tourer for the family. Can you tell I love it in here? I really do. Welcome back to a new segment called Tim Road Who Gets His Tripod Run Over by a Tractor because it's in the road. Rear seat space in the RS7 Performance is really good. I'm 6'3". That's my driving position. Loads of knee room. My foot room is okay. That is slammed as low as it will go, that front seat. Middle seat is wide, but there's a massive transmission tunnel, so best as a 4-seater really this. You've got some climate controls back here for each of your rear seat passengers. So it's got like 4-zone climate, which is really nice. Headroom, if I lean all the way back, like all the way back, I hit my head on the roof, but sitting normally, I don't. And if I close the door, Doesn't feel too claustrophobic, but look, that's as low as the windows go. That is pathetic. But anyway, my main niggle with the backseat accommodation is you've only got 12-volt socket, no USBs, and yeah, you've got some flip-out cup holders and a little storage pad in the armrest. But the biggest quibble is you don't get rear side airbags as standard. They're a £500 option. That is mean. That is mean on a £120,000 car that you're going to use as a family car. Your kids are going to die unless you spend £500. Not actually, Audi, don't sue me, but come on, give them a standard. Right, thanks for sticking through all the walk around flim flam. It's time to take the RS7 Performance for a bit of a drive, have some fun, talk about refinement, sportiness and all that good stuff without breaking any laws. That might be problematic. Right, we're going for a drive in the RS7. I normally say a quick drive, but this driving bit's probably going to be a bit longer than usual because I really want to show you what this is like on some twisty roads. But starting off now in comfort mode, you still hear the V8 when you kind of put your foot down a bit. It's not hushed at all. It's got a real nice bassy note to it, even in the more refined driving modes. And this is a bumpy bit of road, and the suspension is pretty blooming good. Look, I'm having to reverse for a Vauxhall Corsa. Luckily, I've got 360-degree camera. Good over-the-shoulder visibility, actually, which I didn't expect given the shape of this car, but it's got rear quarter lights. And yeah, it's just an easy car to live with. He has said thank you. That's nice of him. Now I can boot it. It does make your stomach turn, just the torque, and this is in comfort mode. Now, before I forget, there are some interior bits I forgot to mention which make a difference to how it drives in my books. Anyway, the shift paddles. Audi used to do crappy plastic shift paddles, even on V10 powered R8s. Now you've got these metal items which have been around for a little while, but they are so much better. They show that Audi is taking this stuff seriously on its performance cars, and yeah. You do actually want to use them. Now, it is quite dark in here. Part of that's because it's a grey day outside and all the cows are lying down, but also you get, they call it Dynamica, I think. It's off-brand Alcantara from the middle aisle at Lidl. That's made of 40% recycled plastic for what it's worth. And it is everywhere. It is nice, I like it, especially on the steering wheel. Don't know how that will age, but hey, it is a nice touch. It makes it feel sporty. But anyway, that's all very boring stuff. It's comfortable. We're going to do a very quick bit of 70-mile-an-hour motorway driving just to talk about long-distance refinement, and then we'll hoon it. Right, we're very quickly going to get up to motorway speeds in the RS7, and I do mean very quickly. Let's come around here. We're in auto mode, and yeah, up 70. Right, that was quick, wasn't it? At 70 miles an hour, you got a bit of tyre noise. That's about it, really. Slight wind whistle today because it's a windy day, but it's a very refined car. You just can't overcome the noise physics of those massive, massive wheels and tyres. And it doesn't ride with quite the comfort of a Bentley, for example, that uses the same platform as this. Even in comfort mode with these optional dampers, it's fine. It's absolutely fine, but it's not the last word in comfort. But it's good enough. It's more than good enough for long distances and family cruising without annoying everyone. I imagine the air suspension will probably filter out lots of these high frequency bumps a bit better, but whatever. Yeah, 24 mpg, as I've said, it is easily achievable. The only other thing that does sometimes annoy me is the brake pedal can be a bit inconsistent when you're slowing down. It sometimes feels a bit grabby, sometimes it's a bit dead, then a bit grabby. It's carbon ceramic problems, really. And the only other thing I would say is the headlights are bloody brilliant. They are HD matrix LED headlights that can block out cars, so you can leave your main beam on more of the time. They've even got a laser element in, so the main beam goes miles when there's nothing else around at all. Yeah, it's a great cruiser. It is a really good cruiser. I've loved it. Just very costing. I've got cooled seats as well up front. Is that Range Rover going to pull out on me? I hope not. Oh, the cyclists are though. That's good. Very wise manoeuvre. Country roads. And now it's raining. Brilliant. I've got Quattro. Now, the beauty of the RS7 is, much like the RS6, you've got an RS button on the steering wheel. So you've got two configurable driving modes, RS1 and RS2. You press this button to cycle between them. And you can configure them pretty much how you want. There's loads of stuff you can adjust, such as the aggression of the engine, the suspension firmness, the diff feeling as well, how skiddy it is, and also you can put it in a Sport ESC program as well. So it's just like BMW's M button, really. And I found the sweet spot to be kind of most aggressive everything, but comfort suspension, because that's just the sort of person I am. But yeah, on a twisty road, this does a really good job of pretty much everything. Pops and bangs on deceleration there, and then yeah, stomach churning punch out the corners. But what's really surprised me is how much kind of not feel you're getting through the steering, but how direct it is and how it makes it feel much more like a sports car than I thought. You can really trust the front end. The turn-in is really sharp. It doesn't feel like a stodgy, heavy Audi, despite on paper being a stodgy, heavy Audi. It's just got real... Can't talk. It's just got real sporting pedigree for a 2-ton hatchback cum saloon thing. It's the handling that's really impressed me. No, it's not like razor sharp, lightweight car, but it's kind of up there with the M5 very easily. It's not quite as rear biased, but it's pretty rear biased. You do feel yourself being pushed from the back out of corners. But when you've done all that stuff and you've kind of burnt through a set of pads, you can put it in super comfortable mode and cruise home with loads of room and boot space. It is a marvellous thing to drive quickly on a country road. It really is. It's got performance for days. Whatever gear you're in, it makes a great noise. In the RS modes, with the flaps open, you get pops and crackles, and you're constantly just accelerating for no reason. And there's loads of dials that you can call up as well to see how hot your brakes are and the engine and all that good stuff. The RS monitor, that's called. I've got a big rev counter and a head-up display as well. It's very configurable. And all I would say is, yeah, the dynamic mode for the suspension is too firm in the UK. It doesn't understeer. On the road, if you get this thing to understeer, you're driving like a proper Wally, like proper Wally, 3-figure Wally. On track, it's gonna be too heavy. And yeah, the grip from the tyres is decent. It's just very, very good. Don't think you have to go and buy a sports car, a 2-seat sports car that you're never going to use because you're always with your kids or your other half. This fills that gap really nicely. I would happily have this as my only car for fun and for lugging people around who are screaming at me because I've given them the wrong type of Haribo. Just give in to the acceleration. Anyway, I think I've said enough nice things about the way this drives. Negatives, the only real thing is the brake pedal feel for me can be a bit inconsistent, but yeah, when they're up to temperature, oh, fucking hell. Sorry. It's a very good car. Let's go back to me for a conclusion. Serious stuff. At the top of this video, I said the Audi RS7 Performance has joined my top 3 fast Audis of all time, and I wasn't messing around. I really wasn't. This thing has blown me away. It surprised me in terms of how tactile it is, how you feel it pushed from the back, how entertaining it is, but also how it's a real Jekyll and Hyde car. You can do proper miles in this very comfortably, getting decent MPG, while still being able to drop all the windows and let rip the God of Thunder whenever you want. It drives really well. It is very comfortable. It's got the suspension that is always really needed, and frankly, I would probably get this over the RS6 because I'm a sucker for this sort of shaped car. I'm the pervert that like the old Mercedes CLS 63. But yeah, this thing, properly good. My niggles are the usual things like the price, the spec, the fact that you don't get radar cruiser standard, the fact that you've got to add quite a lot of stuff to it to make it the same level of spec as a Volkswagen Golf. But whatever, if you're spending 120 grand, you probably don't mind spending a few more £1,000. It's put me in a really good mood. It's one of the best cars I've driven this year in terms of its pace, in terms of everything it does without annoying you. I'm just been worried about curbing those wheels, frankly. That's my main negative when I've been driving it. So yeah, what an all-round family, do-it-all car. My kids have loved going in it. I didn't think I'd be feeling this way about fast Audi ever again. I thought we'd be going all electric, really muted sounding engines and, you know, heavy handling. Yeah, it's heavy, but it gets away with it on the road. Yeah, I have no words. But anyway, thank you for watching this. It's been a bit of a special car to film for me. So like this video, subscribe to the channel. It's got plenty more car reviews coming soon. Go down to the comments, please. And would you kindly leave me the German word for Your rims are massive. Thank you, goodbye. Und tschüss und auf Wiedersehen.